Okay, I don't know what the hell happened. I did all the commercials and stuff, and I just see Giovanni's thing, and I'm like, what the heck? It never went live. So I've been sitting here talking to myself. Great, thank you. I'm crazy. For the last 11 minutes. So that's great. This is different. I thought I had everything going. I put myself back on the thing. I went live, and I have no idea what the heck I hit, but it did not do it. Oh my God. This is crazy. I am never going to get this thing down. I thought I was doing so good. I had everything all set. Everything was on autoplay and did the countdown. Come on. Welcome everybody, which I did. So, I'm sorry. I'll turn around and welcome everybody again because, like I said, I have been talking for the last 10 minutes and had no idea at all. Yes, I am crazy. I'm the crazy cat lady and actually crazy in so many different ways. Oh my God. Oh, wow. If Giovanni hadn't said anything, I would not have known. I would have just been babbling on to myself with nobody knowing that I was actually here because I actually came on and I did my thing of saying hello to everybody because Wojo was number one. And I was like, yes, boom. Dehu, I said hey to Mary, to Sam, and said I was glad to see that she was actually, she had a good time on her vacay. She deserved it. And then I said hey to Giovanni and Kurt. And yeah, and I'm going through and I'm starting to talk about what I was going to discuss tonight. And then I see the comments. So this is just whatever. That's right, Richie. You can't leave me unsupervised. Oh my God. Yes, that's what I said. Crazy cat lady. I've always said that. But all right. Hey, Mickey. Oh wow. This is just, yeah, I can see how this night's gonna go. Hey Jason, how are you? I can tell you right now, it's never a dull moment with me. Um, at all, period. That's all I can say. So what I had said before, and I will say it again since nobody heard me the first time, is I decided to do tonight's episode on animal behavior and different signs that go along with it because when you're doing the research that I do, that Richie, Wojo, Sam, a bunch of us do when we're out in the woods and stuff, it's I've always said that it's good to know the animals in your area. Not too much catnip. No, I'm sorry. That's not me. It's also always great job. Yeah, it's always a nice laugh. I should have been a stand-up comedian. I miss my calling. Um, but it's always nice to know the animals in your area. Richie and Wojo know the animals in theirs. I know the animals in mine. I have moose, I have deer, I have bobcats, I have coyotes, I have mountain lions, even though they say they're not here. Fishers, and a ton of other stuff. And with this time of year being spring, this is when a lot of the young are born. And I've always said it through I think every episode that I've had, that it is always good to be extremely cautious this time of year because when you come across the offspring, most of the time it doesn't matter if it's a mistake or not. All the moms, and I use this term for every animal, they go into mama bear mode, which they will just, they're there. They don't give a crap. It was an accident. They are going to kick your butt. And it's with all animal behavior, though. I mean, most of us have pets. I have a couple of dogs, a cat, two cats. I have reptiles because I actually foster for a local reptile rescue, but I have adopted a couple. I have a Savannah and I have a black and white Argentine Tegu, and he is in a massive enclosure that my husband was so graciously had built for him. It's 8 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet, and he's handleable. I mean, he'll let you handle him. He doesn't, he kind of likes to hide, so he'll crawl in your clothes and stuff, and he's a good, 4 feet long already. But, and he's just going to get bigger. But when he's in his enclosure and he doesn't want out and he doesn't want to be bothered, if you open it, he will do a hunch thing, which is it's a warning. Don't come near me because he will lunge. And they are, I should, and they And it's a warning. So you have to, when you're out, hey, good evening, Kelly. So when you're out and about and you actually do come across something, whether, I mean, I've spooked bobcat, I've seen coyote. I always am cautious because, I never know what's going to happen. And I don't carry weapons with me. I do have a buck knife, but that's not going to do a whole lot of good. I do have my wood knocker, which I do carry even when I do my mountain lion stuff. But I don't carry a gun or anything like that. And so I want to know if I can kind of read what the situation's going to be. And when I was deciding to do this topic, I was like, I want to look into more and see if there's something I'm missing, because I've covered a lot of this already in most of my episodes, especially the one with, my worry about being out is if I come across a young one and mama's around. And BBC.com had a great article. It's actually called "Why Do Animals Attack?" And it goes over different things of what to look for, what to be cautious of, and stuff. And one of the major one is fear or self-defense. And you can actually, I got to go to captions here. You could download the article, but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff, because a lot of times there's there we go. There's situations that can be avoided and stuff. And I hate to say it, but 50% of the time that, these things happen, it's kind of something that could have been avoided because it's been provoked by humans, because we're not really smart when it comes to animals sometimes, especially in the wild, because you see something and you're like, oh, I got to get a picture, or, oh, I've got to get closer. And yeah, it's not always a good situation. What? Oh, yeah, I had oh, that's so sad that the neighbor did that. I had a Rottweiler at one point, and most people are scared of Rottweilers. A lot of people are scared of pit bulls. I am more terrified of Dobermans, but the way that I have come to a conclusion of, it's not the dog itself most of the time, it's how it's raised, not from the country. Hi Z Sun Dragon. It's how they're handled and they're raised. Now the Roddy that I ended up with, I had kind of gotten because a friend of mine, his son was going off to college and he couldn't take care of it, and he had just got back from the military, not realizing when I did take this dog in, this was his fourth home, so he had severe anxiety issues. He did not like to be separated, but he loved everybody, and literally about the only thing that would make the dog mad is if there was a door between you and him. So people would think he was being aggressive, and I'd say, close the door or open the door, come in, come out, because he just wants the love and the attention. And there's warning signs when it comes to certain animals too. It's like with him, it's like he would play, kids used to love him because he was a big love bug. But when he's ready and he's tired and he's resting, he would let you know, I'm going to go do my thing. And I had a 9-year-old staying with me, and mine was named Kane, which I had to adopt him because he was named Kane. He was named after my favorite wrestler, so I just had no other choice. He had to stay with us. But I had one of my daughter's friends and her brother were spending the weekend, and they were playing with him, and then he got tired and he went to sleep. Well, the 9-year-old Ryan decided, I still want to play with him. I want to keep him going, I was like, let him sleep, leave him alone. You don't mess with him when he's sleeping. Hey, Carrie, how are you? And he wouldn't listen. He kept doing, well, Kane growled, and then he growled again, and I kept telling Ryan to get off him, and I went and I moved him, but he went right back over. Well, he climbed on top of him. Now, this tells you right now that he's a very mild animal, because he did not turn around. He did not bite. What he did do, though, when the kid put his head down on top of his, was he brought his head up and jaw-jacked him, which scared the crap out of the kid. But I was like, he gave you a warning. and you didn't listen, and the kid did go off him and leave him alone after that. But if you know Rotties, I mean, it could be a lot worse. Yeah, it is. It's how they're raised and stuff. But then you get to the wild animals. Well, how do you know with wild animals? I mean, you know, if you spook them, you could scare them. Could that, could they get aggressive? Yes, they could. Could they run? Yeah. I mean, it's just there's so much that goes on with animal behavior and what can cause animals to act the way they do. And hi, Alda. Oh, it's so great to see you. Tansei. Um, and I always say it comes down to respect. You have to have a respect for animals. You have to have a respect for what you're doing. You have to, when I go out and I do my stuff, I have taught Lucy. If any of you saw the videos the other day, I had little Miss Lucy out with me. I love having her out. In the field with me because she is so great. And she was so funny because we were talking, and I was telling her, just keep talking because she was like, I don't know if we'll come across anything. And she, for some reason, was worried we'd come across a bear. Although she's not too worried about black bear. She said that herself. She said, just because they're very skittish. She goes, it's grizzlies she's more worried about. But I said, well, what do you do if you actually see a bear, And she says, oh, I get loud and I make myself big. And I was like, there you go, girl. You know how to handle yourself. And it's cute. I mean, she listens and she respects things. When we go out and she's made casts and stuff, we clean up the area. We don't leave our trash behind. And we actually, when we were out there yesterday, it was a lot of people have gone through there and they've dumped trash. So we're going to go through and clean that up. But anyways, back to the animal, the animal behavior. A lot of times with the stuff, there's a lot of different things that would fit in to the things. Yeah, Lucy is very sweet. And she's very, I mean, the road usually floods out, but over the last 2 years, I had been 2 years since I've been in all the way down in there, and the beavers actually took the road completely out and dammed everything up and made a nice pond in there. And we were actually walking over a beaver dam because the kid's like, oh, we can make it to the other side. But with so back to see, I've got ADD, it's like squirrel, balloon, anything. I just, I go off topic so bad and I don't mean to. But there's different aspects when it comes to, knowing what's wrong when you come across, because you can spook an animal. I've spooked them, and it's how you react. If I spook it like we spooked the bobcat, I didn't chase after it because that's going to be kind of an aggressive attitude from me, which is going to make the animal become aggressive because they're going to try to do whatever they can to get away from me and protect themselves. And if I'm in their territory, they're going to want to protect that, which usually is going to be to try to scare me out, or get me on my way to leave. There's just so many different behaviors that can happen. And like I said, the three, they went through all these different ones, but then they had a list of like the 3 conflicts that can happen. And it's natural aggression, which is, that is the females taking care of their young. And then there's, other ones like with animals because, they hunt, they look for their food. Well, a lot of times that's right, you are. And that's what Lucy had said. I was saying that the little 10-year-old I had out and stuff, when she was talking, she was like, I'll just make myself, I'm going to talk. I'm going to make myself look big. I'm going to be, and I'm so impressed with her. She is great. Oh, hi, Ernie. I'm so glad you made it. But a lot of times too, a lot of these, behaviors when like with animals and some of the conflicts that come about is when you go camping. I've always been told when I go camping to keep my trash picked up. So I take trash bags and I lock my trash in the vehicle, because if you have an animal that is used to rummaging through the garbage, whether it's a bear, raccoon, whatever, they're going to continue to do that. And if they can't find the food, they're going to, they can get aggressive. It's just common sense to not allow it to happen in the first place and then keep it from happening altogether. And there's issues with, we've had this talk, D Hoot and I believe, and a couple others, when I was talking about like the lions of Savo that were doing the attacks, we were trying to figure out if there was some type of chemical imbalance in the brain or something wrong up there that caused it. And they couldn't find any genetic anomalies. But a lot of times with like here, when there are issues, like if there's been one that's been hit or wounded or something, if there's parts of the body that are breaking down, toxicities will go to the brain and it will cause an animal's behavior to change. And it's just a normal thing. I mean, it's like my neighbor who had passed, Elder, had, when I did a thing with Richie, had mentioned that his spirit was here, which pleased me so much. But he had cancer. And throughout his stage 4, the liver was releasing toxicities into his brain, and the more it happened, the more aggressive he got, the meaner he got. And it's just a normal thing. I mean, if there's a wound, if there's an issue, it's the same with animals. We're animals, okay? We're primates. We're it's the same. Like if you look at stuff with Bigfoot and the research that Richie does, I will have to say their research is amazing. And I have always stood by the fact that I thought it was an unknown primate, a large monkey out there. But with what they have discovered and what they have gotten, they have changed a lot of how I think and do my research now, because it's incredible. And when you look at it that way, though, with what they found, we're still animals. They're still animals. And hi, Miss Jessie. Oh my gosh, thanks for stopping in. And it's just a whole thing of, you've got to start thinking. But like Elder said, I said, when it comes to this stuff, the best way to do it is you have to have the respect. You have to have the respect for your surroundings. You have to have a respect for the animals. You can't go in just thinking that you have the right to do whatever you want in any area. And a lot of times too, you'll have people like, I live in a very rural area and I love it. I couldn't handle a city. I don't think I could do a city at all. It's just too crowded. But you have people that move from the city to the country, and they don't know the animals that are around. They don't know what they need to do. They don't understand things, and that will cause some issues with animals as well. Behavior goes on, just how different things change for the animals. I mean, if you've got people moving into their territory, or people coming in and now all of a sudden they don't have enough food source, or they don't have this, there's going to be different things that happen. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry to hear that too, Giovanni. But yeah, I do think that, yeah, they are just like us, and different things. But what happens sometimes though, and this is what I wanted to get into, because a lot of times people will use the term with animals when their behavior is different, that they've gone rogue. And I've always found that term to be kind of fascinating, because I'm trying to figure out, what exactly does that mean? Does it just mean that something snapped and they're just, they're on their own, they're terrorizing, whatever? So looking into that, along with different behaviors and stuff, there are different stories throughout history, like we've discussed the lions of Savo. But there's also, I found in Australia, a saltwater croc named Sweetheart that was around in the 1970s. Yeah, males, it's usually, yeah. A lot of times with the stuff, it's like with any big cat. I mean, you can have multiple males, but it's very unusual. It's usually one male and more females than it is, a group thing. Males are very territorial and they try to be dominant. And you can have other males there, but they're going to be more submissive. But with this saltwater croc, I'm trying to keep up with the comments and stuff and trying to keep on topic. Like I said, ADD. I'm just all over the place. Oh, balloon. Anyways, Sweetheart was attacking boats. Wasn't killing people. It was attacking boats and sinking boats. And they found this to be a rogue behavior. And actually, there was a movie made about it that was called Rogue. And they depicted it a whole lot different because it was, a man-eating, saltwater croc. This one wasn't. And so they ended up capturing what they called Sweetheart, which I never understood why they gave him the name Sweetheart, but they captured him, and in transport, he did not make it because he got stuck under a log and he ended up drowning. But they had determined, though, because he's taxidermy now and he's at the museum and art gallery in Darwin, Australia. But the reason that what they determined was they figure it was more territorial why he was attacking the boats, because he was going after the outboard motors, and due to the noise that they make, they figure that he found that as a threat to his territory and he would attack the boats. But he never killed anybody in the process. He would sink the boats and nobody died from it. So it's like, okay, so there's a termination. He technically wasn't rogue. He was protecting his territory. And yeah, well, there's also talking about crocs in Africa. Most people know of Gustave, who is the crocodile. He's a Nile crocodile that is between 20 and 23 feet in length. I actually have the actual area and everything. I've got it all. So I have plenty of notes on this stuff, but I wanted to yes. Okay. So he is an infamous croc that is from Burundi, and it's gone way overboard. But he has assumed, from all the stories, killed about 300 people near the lake. Yeah, that's the one that I have trouble with. Tanganyika, and it's and that also adjoins with the river Ruzizi. And so throughout the years, he has taken the lives of, he's massive. And he has been shot at. They have tried to capture him. He evades capture. He's known mainly for the wounds that he's got, because he has 3 gunshot wounds on his right shoulder blade. His right shoulder is messed up. And it is determined that he has killed at least 60 people, but due to stories and people disappearing, a lot of talk gets going, and then the number gets exacerbated, and it's up to 300 plus. Yeah, they actually did a documentary back in 2004. A gentleman, it was a French adventurer. He was also a naturalist and a herpetologist. His name was Patrice Fay. And in the late 1990s, he went to Burundi, and he started looking into the attacks. He started going around because there's poaching and stuff, and he went in and took care of, like if he saw traps with crocs, he would go in and release the crocs so that they could, continue on and stuff. But people were fishing in the rivers and he would yell at them for standing there because, I mean, they were croc infested. But you've got to remember that the natives have been doing this for years and they know the dangers that come with it. So to me, him doing that it's not going to stop anything. Granted, I don't think I would be doing it. It's like, that's why I don't swim in the ocean because, well, for one, I'm allergic. Two is, it's whatever's living in there. It's their domain. It's not mine. So I would prefer not to piss anything off. But with Gustav, he goes back and forth between the lake and the river. And yes, he has killed people. And they call it rogue because they don't understand sometimes why he does what he does, because he's not eating for food. A lot of times they will find these people still, they find them dead, but, they're still intact. He hasn't eaten them. And so they tried to figure out what was going on there because they actually think that that he does it for sport, which I don't know how that would be, but you did swim in the ocean. You got brave. Yay! You're braver than me. It's like, yeah, no, I don't. I'm actually allergic to salt water anyways. I walk the breakwater sometimes and I have to make sure I don't do it at high tide, because the last time I did walk it at high tide, I got sprayed when a boat went by and brought the waves up, and my whole entire leg just turned fire engine red and started to burn. And we had to rush back and find the closest convenience store so I could rinse it off with fresh water. But yeah, so so his attacks are considered unusual because he doesn't always eat the people. But the thing that I found funny too, when you're looking into it, because there's a lot of stuff on him, because there's been a lot of interest, especially since I think a lot of it too, because there was a movie done on him too, called was it Primeval there? I think that's what it was called. But it was with a journalist and somebody else who had gone to Africa and searched for the killer croc, which they did, make him out to be a lot worse than, what you get. But that's because it's a horror movie and that happens. And it's Hollywood. You got to make everything bigger and better. But they were also considering where it's unusual that they thought it meant that, he hunted people due to the fact that of their size, which means that small prey were harder to catch. Well, that doesn't compute with me at all, because crocs go after wildebeest. They go after, water buffalo. Those are a heck of a lot bigger. That's not small prey. Okay, yes, they will feed on fish and stuff in the rivers, but yeah, well, there's, like I said, with the saltwater croc in Australia, they do think that the attacks were due to the outboard motors and the sounds that it made. It caused it to get aggression because of territory. And like I said, it sank boats, but it didn't it didn't kill anybody. It just attacked the boats to sink the boats. And I think it was just to get rid of the noise. Hi, John. How are you? Hi, William. Yes, I can do that for you. Okay. I will do that definitely. So back to the stove. Gustav. So yeah, it's like, it doesn't make any sense, because yes, people are, are the size, and smaller prey is harder, but they don't normally go after smaller prey. They go after, like I said, they go after, the water buffaloes, the wildebeest. They're not tiny animals by any stretch of the imagination. And I couldn't figure out what they had based that on and stuff. And then, and how they said that, it was more for sport. I have, by looking into different stuff that they've done on him and stuff, you have to go with their normal thing. I mean, like with my research, mountain lions, they're elusive, but they're sneak attack predators, okay? And they're up in trees, they can watch stuff. They're down in the low bush and they're watching stuff and they sneak up. Well, his resting area is in a delta, which is the mouth that attaches the river to the lake, okay? It's in murky, shallow, muddy water. Okay, that's where he rests at. Okay, so, and if you watched anything on any crocs, most of the time when something is getting a drink, one of the animals, zebra, whatever, you can see crocs. They're like, you don't even know they're there, and then boom, next thing you know, they've got the animal and they're dragging it into the water and trying to drown it. So it's not so much, I don't think it's so much a, that we're easier prey. I think it's kind of another territorial thing. Okay, you go to the edge of the riverbank and you walk in and it's murky water. You don't know what's there. Well, if there's a sleeping croc that is kind of ticked off that, there's movement around him, you're going to get aggressive. Hey, Bryce, how are you? And it's the same. I mean, you just figure you don't want anybody messing with your home. So why would an animal want anybody messing with theirs? And it's just one of the theories, and it's just my theory. I'm probably full of crap. I don't know, but it's just, if you think about it, it's kind of, like I said, common sense. Just common sense. Just think things through first. And then the last one that I have, which I thought was kind of amazing because I didn't know anything about this at all. And I can't even say the tiger's name, okay? I'm going to try to say it, but I'm telling you right now, I'm going to screw it up. Just get done mowing the yard. Yeah, it's that time of year. The grass is actually starting to look really, really nice. So I had been on the Ghost Cats and Cryptids page on Facebook, and you get into to other feeds and it will bring us through. And that's how I see most of Curious Cryptid stuff. And I like to share her stuff. I see Sam's Pretty Paranormal. And then there's other stuff in there, and I've been sharing it on my page. Well, there was one in there about animals that actually were created in cinema due to cinema animals that were based off of real animals that had, done vicious attacks. And that's where, that's where you get Sweetheart, which didn't attack people. Gustav, which I already knew about him a long time ago. This one I did not know about, and it's Chapawada, and it's a tigress. It's a Bengal tigress in Nepal. And this cat had killed 460, I want to say 63 or 65 people in her lifetime. And I was like, wow. And due to that, that is where Shere Khan from Jungle Book came from. And I found that a little bit because I was like, that's really strange that they did that. But it's 436 people. Yep. And it was always women and children. So she went for what she considered to be the easiest prey. But indulging in looking at these attacks and stuff that had happened, because this all happened in the late 1800s. It ended in 1907 when she was killed. But when she had died, they were looking her over, and yeah, bad kitty, yeah. Well, it's because, and I've said this before with different stuff, like the mountain lion research and different stuff that I talk about, when people say, what can cause attacks and different stuff. The the reason that she did the attacks that she did and went after what she considered the easiest prey, which from the numbers, it was the easiest prey for her, which was women and children, is because she actually had issues with her teeth, and she could not bite down properly to go after the prey that tigers normally go after, and the humans were the easiest thing for her to get. And it's just crazy because they consider her this is sad because it says record breaking man-eater. It's just, but it's due to the fact that, yeah, she had bad teeth, and some other health issues as well. Yeah, the Champara tiger began her attacks in the village of Rupal in northern Nepal. Hunters were sent to kill the tiger, but she managed to evade them and continued to hunt. The number of fatalities became so high that the army was called in. Despite failing to capture or kill the tiger, soldiers organized a massive beat and managed to force the tiger to abandon her territory and drive her across the border into India, where she continued her killing activities. So she was on one hell of a rampage from 1895 until she died in 1907, and she was shot by Jim Corbett. Sorry, Jim Cornette. I'm like I said, wrestling nut here. Sorry, I saw Corbett and I said Cornette. And even though she had her issues and stuff, she still did the sneak attacks. She would ambush her victims who were usually out foraging, for different things. That really goes to show you if they really wanted to have our asses. And that's the thing. Okay. So it's like when it comes, the tigress was trying to survive. We all try to survive. I mean, we do whatever we can daily. And usually for us, it's working our asses off to make money and continue to, do what we do. Yes, the Wampus cat. I looked into that. But yeah, it's like, so you have to think a lot of times with even the cryptids, because that's mainly what I deal with. It's what a lot of us deal with and stuff, is you have people that ask you how crazy you are and yada, yada, yada. We're not crazy. We're respectful in what we do with our research and stuff. And yes, if the animal, whether it be Bigfoot, mountain lion, dogman, whatever, if they want us, you're not going to stop them. Okay. There's just no way. He might have, I don't know about that. I just know that he was the one who actually was the one to take her down. That's who he gets credited for. Who gets credited for it. There was something else here. Hold on. Oh, I tossed some papers down. I think I did it too soon. I did it too soon. I'm just trying, like I said, just all my research papers. I've got like a mess, like Kurt said, though. If my room's not messy, then I'm not doing something right. No, that wasn't it. Yeah, I was trying to, because I know I had something else on her, and I was trying to figure out what the heck, and I'm not finding it. But that's okay, because I've covered just about everything I can. Oh, right there. Okay. Yeah, no, that's not it. Told you, I have ADD balloon. I wrote down some stuff too. But it's just, I always, like I said, when I'm doing this, you can call me crazy, you can call me stupid, you can tell me whatever. I just find that when it comes down to all of this stuff, no matter what we do in research, these animals are smart. They're not dumb by any stretch of the imagination. And a lot of things can get blown right out of proportion. Like with Gustav's numbers, okay. Granted, Chapawada, her numbers were exact. They didn't get over exaggerated or anything. But either way, it doesn't matter if there's completely nothing wrong with them or if there's something wrong with them. You have to understand that if they're in a mood, it doesn't matter. They've got us one way or the other. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I can see that, John. It's because a lot of times you don't, when I'm out doing my stuff and everything, sometimes I get results, sometimes I don't get any results. But to me, the time that I spend out in the woods is my therapy. It keeps me away from having to deal with anything else that's going on in the world. My mind's clear. I'm enjoying myself. It's peace. It's absolute peace. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Ernie. He wrote Killers of. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Wojo. I know I probably could have Googled it. I've got my phone handy. See, I have learned something from Jess, but I'm not that quick on stuff. So, oh, it's just one of those things. So I always just say, when you're out and about, just be careful, just be cautious. And just continue to do what you do, but always be respectful. Just please always be respectful of your surroundings and what's going on. Primeval instincts and the 4 F's. Yep. Yeah, she was. Hi, Robin. How are you? So tonight, the show that's about all I had, unless anybody's got any other questions. I do want to remind everybody to Tuesday night to check out Wojo Show, Home of the Boom, where you've got Mr. Richie B as the sidekick. Then Saturday night, we have Sam's Pretty Paranormal back after her little hiatus and vacation, which she really deserved. And then Saturday is Banter with Richie B. So it's the show that started it all, the show that brought this whole podcast network together that I am so, so proud of being a part of. Next Sunday, though, my show will not be at 6 p.m. I have a family engagement that I have to deal with, but I will be on at 8 p.m. that night, and I will have a special guest with me. That's making Richie very, very happy. And stuff. So I do want to thank everybody, and I'm sorry that this got so freaking I don't know what the heck happened, but the live just didn't end up going, and for some reason it shut itself down and stuff. And yeah, so I was not sleeping, honestly. It's just that's the way my life goes. If I could have something go right, it would be a miracle. Especially when it comes to trying to deal with this. But thank you guys again for being here. And remember, when you're out researching or just in life general, sometimes you just have to say, what the hell? Good night.